The other day, my son Atticus, the one who's been making all the noise tonight, he fell off the bed and smacked his head on the bookshelf. He was screaming and crying and his head swelled up like a water balloon. In his 5 years of life, this was the first time that Addie needed a trip to the emergency room. So my husband and I freaked out. We scrambled around each other, getting things ready, running into each other in the hallway like a bad movie on pregnancy. We were the bumbling fathers. But once we got to the hospital, we calmed right down. This was familiar. Addie was born at 28 weeks, weighing 2 pounds, 3 ounces. He spent his first 3 months of life in the NICU, and as a result of his prematurity, he has cerebral palsy. So far, he has had 7 surgeries, with more scheduled, to correct things that go wrong when your muscles won't listen to your brain. Hospitals are not so scary to us. I was terrified to have children. So the thought of having a child with a disability would have sent me running for a quickie hysterectomy. I see that same fear in other mothers I talk to. Fear that they could be in my shoes. Fear that some combination of fate or bad luck or God's will could ask them to rise to a challenge that seems insurmountable. The kind moms overcompensate. They tilt their heads and they furrow their brows. They place a gentle hand on my arm while they say, "Oh, I don't know how you do it." They talk about what a miracle he is, what an angel, that he was sent to special parents, that he must be so strong, that I must be so strong, that he's here to teach the world, blah, blah, blah. In movies, there's a trope called the magical Negro. It's when a black supporting character comes along just to offer wisdom, insight, or mystical powers to aid the main white character out of a jam and teach them an important lesson. It's offensive because it denies the humanity of the black character. They don't have a life or a backstory or goals of their own. They only exist to serve the white character, and then they disappear once they've done their job. In life, there's a trope that I think of as the magical burden. It's when people see a child with special needs and think that they've come along just to teach the people around them how to be better people. The magical burden doesn't have a life or story or goals of their own. They're just a prop to give the people they come in contact with a chance to be good people. My son is not a prop. And while I can stand before you and proudly state that I am a great mom, I know it's not because of some innate character trait I had going in that somehow qualified me for the advanced parenting track. I'm a great mom for the same reasons every other great mom is a great mom. It's because of what I choose to do every day. It's for all the times I get it right, for the times I don't lose my temper, when I find a way to teach him something, introduce him to something new, show him how things work, make sure he knows I love him, and don't wring his neck when he's being a little shithead. Because I hate to break it to you, but disabled kids can be just as shitty as any other kind of kid. I've learned that there are some benefits in having a child with special needs, but it's not some motherhood medal that nobody's doling out. There are silver linings in community, support, having to accept that you don't have all the answers and learning how to find them, affection born of service and sacrifice, and the fact that since he can't walk, he more or less stays where I put him. I've never had to save him from traffic or rescue my keys from the toilet. I've never left the room only to come back to some ungodly mess. That is definitely worth a couple of extra appointments a week. Plus, the parking's great. For Addie to sit on the couch, he first has to drag himself over to it on his belly like a soldier. Then he lifts himself onto all fours, pushes himself back onto his knees, stretches to grab onto the couch cushion, pushes up on his toes to try and stand, balancing precariously while he hoists himself up with his arms, pulling his torso further up until he can use the couch as a fulcrum to tip his uncooperative legs up behind him and roll over onto his bum. When I sit down on the couch, I don't think about anything other than how glad I am to sit down on the couch. So much of motherhood seems like drudgery. Laundry is never ending, and the floor is always dirty, and there is always someone else you're supposed to be attending to or taking care of, or some other deadline you're missing. But I've learned that those things aren't drudgery. They're how great things happen. You push and you stretch and you stand and you balance and you pull, and it all looks like a lot of effort for naught, but that's what it really takes to accomplish anything. And with enough of that effort, it adds up to create something pretty damn powerful, nurturing. Most of us take for granted what it takes to make our body move, and most of us take for granted how many little attentions have to be paid to nurture a child, a relationship, an environment, but I don't. Not anymore. It's not his disability that has taught me this. It's how he lives with his disability. It's his tenacity and his bravery and his discipline and his faith, not his cerebral palsy. Back in the emergency room, we were leaving with a perfectly fine Atticus. I saw another mom. 2 little boys jumped and fidgeted all over the emergency room as she held another in her lap with a wad of bloody tissues pressed to his forehead. I thought about what it would be like to parent 3 active little boys, jumping off things and crashing into things and running around things. It took all my self-control not to walk over to her, cock my head, put a gentle hand on her arm. I don't know how you do it.